Good evening, my people, man. Good to see everybody again, man. We're back for our fourth episode in 2025. We got a good one tonight. We got a guest back, man. Lieutenant Commander Mark Edwards is back with us to discuss some good topics, man. We're going to talk a little bit about some strategies that Black men, Black people can use at work to navigate, the current environment. To continue to move forward as we've always done in the past. So I think it's going to be a very, very good conversation amongst all of us. Obviously, my partner's back, Tony Cox. So he'll be on here with us. It's going to be a very good show. Before I bring them on, though, I want to tell everybody to subscribe, hit that button. You get all of our new content. Also hit social media. Our entire video will be up on YouTube. In a day or two. We put little clips up on X and Spoutable. And we have an email account. If you have any suggestions, recommendations for us, please send it to gentsmakingsense at yahoo.com. So we're going to go ahead and get started. I'm going to bring in my partner, Tony and Mark. So here they go. Good evening, fellas. How y'all doing?
Good evening, brother. How you doing?
What's going on? One thing I got to tell you, Suleiman, pretty soon we can't, if he come back for one more show, we're not going to call him a guest, okay? We're not going to call him a guest.
That's true. He won't be a guest anymore.
I'm definitely coming back.
Give me a podcast. He'll be right with us. I'm down with that, man. But it's going to be a good show, man. I mean, as I did in the intro, man, I think, we know what this podcast is about and what we've always wanted it to be about. So this is a good conversation, is to try to give our young brothers, man, some tools to help them, survive work. And then, with the current environment, how to continue to navigate those landmines.
Let's do it. Let's do it. We're going to start it off by, last week, Mark gave you a little bio on how he came up, what he's doing and everything. Our subject falls right into that category of how we made it through this far through the different organizations that we worked in, and we know that DEI and dismantling DEI is a big thing right now. But even before DEI, we had to navigate these organizations without DEI. So we're here to try to let young men, young Black men know, young Black women know that you don't need DEI to be successful. And we're going to try to help you with some things or some strategies to make it in this time. Suleiman, why don't you start us off and let us know how you navigate these waters and everything?
Yeah, I mean, one is I'll say this, and I mean I've talked about this before, particularly when it comes to my upbringing and my father. My father was a very strong man, a man's man. What people like to say nowadays, but he was a lead of our family. My mother passed. My father raised all of us, and he always taught me to have confidence in myself, have confidence in my skills. Treat people the way I expect to be treated and hold them accountable when they don't treat you the way you feel like you should be treated. So I've always taken that into the work environment. So when I'm at work and something is a bit off, or I'm dealing with some racial or DEI type of stuff, I address it front and center, which is to basically pull whoever that individual is or whoever those individuals are into a room and have a conversation. I mean, it's not a shouting conversation or cursing conversation, but just to let them know that that's unacceptable. That's not something that I'm going to be willing to deal with or hear or accept. And most of the time, it works out, for the best. Second thing is the no policy. I'll try the most appropriate way first, which is a conversation. But if you don't follow that and it continues, then we have a policy problem that I'm going to address through, policies and procedures and directives in my county. Just respect yourself. I know that's a short answer, but you need to respect yourself. You need to respect your ability. your skill set. You're not inferior to anybody. And I always say that to Black men, regardless of what you see on television, in Fox News and places like that. You're not inferior to anybody, and you should carry yourself as such.
Yeah, yeah. Good advice. Good advice. Um, I talked to y'all a little bit about this in the green room earlier. I think I realized how you have to navigate these organizations and how to be successful in your career very early when I was in junior high, when we had forced uh, uh, not segregation, but integration, forced integration, where I had to go from my all Black elementary school to a mixed junior high school. As you know, all of us had mixed emotions, but we didn't know what we were up against. But immediately, uh, I found out that people thought that we were less than, and we had to prove that we weren't. You know, and like I said, a lot of people would say, "Oh, you gotta fight, you gotta press in the argue." My thing was, let's just show them. Let's just show them. Let's do the work and show them that we're not behind them. So we're equal to them and sometimes better than them. So then you go to high school, you graduate, you have a good high school career. Then I made a decision that changed my life uh, forever. I chose, instead of going to a PWI, a predominantly white school, I went to HBCU. And at the HBCU, uh, I ran into some professors that taught me that I'm just as good or not better than the people around me. But that don't mean you are going to be selected all the time. That don't mean that your time in an organization is going to be smooth. So we're going to try to teach you how to navigate through those waters and everything. And I learned a whole lot of things there. And I learned, one of the most important things I learned is getting people in those organizations to do what you want them to do and make them think that it was their idea. You know, sometimes I used to get away with that. Uh, I want you to do this, and I'm not gonna go through this rigmarole with you. So we're gonna try to figure out. I'm gonna try to figure out how to make you think that this is a great idea. This is a great idea. So I did a lot of that. And then when I got in the military, military is cut and dry for the most part, you know, and I like that. I think that's why I like the military so much, is because it's cut and dry. And even though there was uh, racism in the military, there were rules and regulations against it, and you had to hide it a lot. And so once again, the bottom line on all of this, going through life, going through these organizations, is the hard work. You got to put in the work. You got to go to work. You got to do your job, and you can't let them throw you off your game and everything. Be the best you can in everything you do. And there was one job that I took, my last job as a first sergeant, that I knew I could affect change right away. Uh, in that I could see BS and call it out and make something happen. And I think that was my most fulfilling job. So, yeah, I think hard work is the key word when it comes down to what I saw and everything. All righty. All right. Mr. Mark, you want to tell us a little bit more about, well, let me go back over this. Reverend Edwards, you know, you want to talk
It doesn't matter. Call me Mark, Reverend.
yeah, you can talk to us a little bit more, kind of refresh your memory on how you navigated, because you had a probably in the military you had a rougher time than us, because you were in what we call the 1%er or the 2%er, and there was a lot less of you in the field you were in and stuff. So,
Well, I can say what inspired me to excel in the military was before I went to the military. When I was in high school, I will never forget, there was a white counselor he and I was talking about career paths for me. And so I didn't have the best of the grades, And he said, so what would you like to be in life? I said, I don't know. I said, maybe a cook. He said, he said, that's probably a good, career for you. I was like, okay. And, from that point on, I said, I can do better than that. And so when I had the opportunity to go in the military, I didn't start out with the best jobs. I was a deck seaman. So pretty much every dirty job that you could think of on a ship, I was pretty much involved with doing those type of jobs. And I said to myself that I could either stay here and whine about it, or I can do something about it. Again, I wanted to become a corpsman, and that was a stepping stone for me to being able to get into the hospital field, the medical field, and then, I'll strive from there. But however, when I was in the medical field and I wanted to excel and, one day become a military officer, there was another person that stood in my way and said, you becoming a naval officer is impossible. It can't happen. And so I said, I thought about what that one counselor told me years ago when I was in high school. And I said, you know what? I like to challenge. And, the word you said, work hard. Yes, that's what I did. And I think what benefited me was that I learned how to play the game. I had a mentor that was white, and I had a mentor that was black. And the reason why I did this, because I wanted to get a perspective of both sides of the house. And so having two different mentors, two different racial mentors, helped me to understand the game and know when to do certain things and when not to do certain things. So that helped me to navigate some of the storms that I had to go through in order to, get to where I was at in the military. So I learned to have both, have a mentor on both sides of the house.
Yeah. That's mentors are always good. And I think a lot of us got through organizations and the military in particular. You need a mentor in the military. You really do. This brings us to some questions I would like, I saw these down here and I wanted to ask some, or comments, or just something to talk about. Suleiman, I'm going to throw this one at you first. Do you think there are workplace biases that can hinder you as a Black man from your professional development and your success? And I know you've been through it all for the most part. But if you saw that, how can this help your answer help these young kids that's coming up today?
Yeah, I mean, the more direct answer is yes. There always has been for people to share a reflection, and it's always going to be for people to share a reflection, particularly here in the United States. And I mean, I think all of us are old enough to know what the United States is, what this country is, what built this country, why we are where we are. Our parents went through it, our grandparents went through it, our great grandparents. Yes, there are going to be people at work who look at you and think that you are not as good as you should be. I mean, I work in a field where there's not a lot of African American emergency managers. There just isn't. Why? I have no idea, but there aren't a lot of us. So for somebody to see me and see in front of my name, deputy coordinator for one of the largest jurisdictions in the country, first thing that comes to their mind is, who does he know? Was he hired because of his reflection? All the nonsense that goes around. So you fight that stereotype every single day when you go to work. Colleagues, there are going to be colleagues who, when you ask them to do something or you task them with something, they're going to challenge how you task them. They're going to challenge what you're tasking them with. They're going to ask questions that they probably wouldn't ask if John asked them to do it. So again, well, like I said a couple minutes ago, what I do is you can ask all the questions you want. I have no issues with you asking me the whys and the whens. I can do that. I'll give you an opportunity to do that. I'll answer your questions. But that's not going to be a conversation that we have every single time.
Right.
Once you ask that question and I give you a reason why I want something to be done, and it ends up working out the way I expect it to work out, then that conversation, the whens and the whys and the hows, I'm not going to have that conversation with you the next time. And I typically tell my people that, look, my door is wide open. But when you walk out of my door, the decision that I made is the decision that we are going to do. It's not going to be, hey, I go out there, I see Mark in the warehouse, and I go, man, Suleiman gave us this stupid thing to do, man. I don't really want to do it. I don't agree with it. That's not how it's going to work. So yes, there are a lot of roadblocks. Things happen like, there's a panel coming up where people are being interviewed for a particular job, and there might be a ringer. And they know that if I get on that panel, I don't care if you're a ringer or not, you need to perform in order to get hired. So I may not get asked to be on that panel.
Right.
Those are behind the scene things that happen.
When you say a ringer, you what you basically saying, somebody that they want to hire and they want to make it easy for you to hire them. Okay, gotcha.
Yeah, absolutely. Which is, not to monopolize the conversation, but which is
that's okay.
Which is the purpose of DEI. DEI is to say, when I walk into a room, if Mark is coming to an interview and everybody that Mark looks at when he walks in that room is male and white, that's not a good interview panel.
Yeah.
Or if I walk in and everybody that's sitting there is black, I'm going to feel a certain type of way if I see that panel. Yeah. So the purpose of DEI was to say, we're going to have a diverse panel, which means we're going to have some type of person of color, male or female, maybe a junior level person and a senior level person. So that we reach across the entire spectrum. So those are the type of things you do. And so DEI is there to ensure that happens.
Right.
Like we used to do in my job, we used to black out the name. Not the name. We would block out their address where they lived, and we'd block out the university that they went to. So you didn't know Mark Edwards. I say, okay, Mark, here's his resume, but you wouldn't have his address on there, and you wouldn't know the school he went to. Because if Mark tells me I went to Norfolk State University, as opposed to telling him I went to Ohio State University,
right,
people are going to look at you differently. So those are the type of things that I think that we have to deal with.
Yeah, and that's a shame that you have to do that. But there are human biases, and you have to do those kind of things to keep that from creeping in all the time. But you ask people, and they say, "I don't have no biases."
Everybody has biases, man.
Exactly.
Everybody has biases. Yeah. And the reason that you have policy and procedures in place is to be the gatekeeper to keep your biases from getting involved in your decisions.
Exactly.
But go ahead. I'm curious to know what you guys think.
Yeah. You can hit that up, Mark.
I have to agree with you 100%. There are definitely workplace biases, and it can hinder your growth if you allow it to. Yeah. So one of the things that you have to put in your mind is that I'm not going to let them stop me from attaining my goals. Now, yeah, it may be hard to get there, especially if you have some folks that's maybe in your chain of command that might be racist. And that's a tough thing to deal with. But like you were saying, Suleiman, you got to kind of stick to your guns. You got to have a game plan, put that in place, and you can't give up. I think that's the biggest thing is you can't give up, even though that it may hinder, some things may hinder you. And I had to go through a lot of different barriers, but the key thing was I had perseverance and I didn't give up. Perseverance. And then the one other thing that was for me was faith. I had to put my faith and trust in the Lord.
Yeah.
And that's how I was able to navigate some of the things that I went through. I mean, I had to do a lot of praying and, because sometimes I wanted to, curse somebody out. How I was treated. But you have to realize that you have a goal. I'll never forget that when I was attached with the Marine Corps and as a medical person, and I remember this Marine was a higher rank than me. He was a white guy. He was gunny, and he treated me like crap. And if it was up to him, I would have never been successful. And he just messed with me. And I tell you, I wanted to hit that guy. But I knew that there was something bigger that I wanted for myself. And I wanted to get a commission. So when I was attached with the Marines, I made E6, which was now a staff NCO rank. And then 2 weeks after that, maybe 2 or 3 weeks after that, I found out I was selected for officer. So when I got selected for commission, I wasn't on the Navy side. I was attached with the Marines as a Navy person, but they motivated me because I knew that there was something I wanted better. And make a long story short, that same gunny that gave me a hard time, I saw him again down the road as an officer. And, I didn't have to say nothing to him. He just looked at me and it's like, oh, he was nice then. But, I just smiled and, and kept going because I knew it hurt him to see me outrank him now.
There you go. There you go.
And things like that happen. That's what I love about the Lord. He's, sometimes he'll set the situation and give you victory. And so that was my victory right there. You're going to see this. And, unfortunately, systemic bias is there.
I'm gonna kind of flip this over a little bit with the systemic biases. I'm sorry, can't get my tongue tied today. So I kind of experienced this in a reverse type of way. This person, an African American, had been with the organization so long, he became a part of that dirty word Suleiman culture. He became part of that culture. And he had a bias towards me. I mean, I guess he wanted his light to shine so much in that culture that he wanted mine to be dim, So you can flip it over and it happens that way too. And so I remember I came into the organization, I was in a classified library and we were sending out classified information all over the world. And I was telling him I thought it was a better way to do this. This guy was from Mississippi. From all that I know, he barely graduated high school. I already had a bachelor's degree. And I'm not saying I was smarter or better than him, but I had a better idea. And I asked him, can we try to implement this idea? And he said, and he was a staff sergeant and I was a airman first class. And he told me, until you become a staff sergeant, you can't tell me to do nothing. You ain't smart enough to tell me to do nothing. And I was like, really? That's where we're going to go with this. And he said, well, Miss So-and-so, we had a female GS-15 that ran the library, and this is how she likes it. And I was like, okay. So went on and sort of like you, Mark, probably about 4 or 5 years later, I went to Korea, came back to Nellis Air Force Base at a fighter weapons school, and I was a tech sergeant and he was a staff sergeant, still getting ready to retire. I went to his retirement ceremony. He was still a staff sergeant, and I was like, you can't just conform to, you got to, you got to be your own self in these organizations and stuff. And that's gonna take us to our next next conversation. And it's talk about being true to yourself or conforming to the dominant culture in the workplace. That's what that gentleman did. He had conformed to that culture, and this is how it goes, and there's not gonna be no change, and we really don't want to hear from you, So Mark, you want to take this one first?
Sure. You definitely got to be true to yourself in a dominant culture. You have to still be true to yourself. But one of the things I want to also for you to know is that you got to know the game too.
Oh yeah,
you got to know the game. So you got to be true to yourself, but you also got to know the game.
Right.
And so once you know the game, then you know how to navigate around certain things.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was talking about that we learned at the HBCU. You got to know the game. So, and I know you know the game going through what you went through. So,
yes, you had to learn the game, and sometimes you had to, put your pride had to go down and be humble, even though you saw things that wasn't right.
Exactly.
Yeah. No, you're right.
Yeah.
One of the things that I think I've told both you guys this story before, but most people in the workforce, and really most people in the world are weak, incompetent. I mean, that's just the truth. I mean, the reason why your work ladder or your org chart is like this is because most people are comfortable being in the masses. Most people are not comfortable pushing the envelope or becoming the best that they can possibly be. They're perfectly fine with being average or right above average. Very few people make it to the levels that you and I have made it to. All of us have made it to in our careers, professionally, and in our lives personally. Most people are happy. They're good with just whatever happens in the office culture. And what I'm getting to is when I was with Aid, we used to travel around the world, and it was me, and there weren't a lot of Black folks to work in international humanitarian assistance. It just wasn't. I mean, we just didn't get involved in it.
Right.
But I was one of the few, and we would get off the plane, right? We'd fly to the United States, and we'd get off the plane, and some of my colleagues, both female and male, we'd be eating dinner or something in I don't know, Mozambique or something, or Sudan, and they'd be like, you know what, Suleiman, how'd you feel like when you got off the plane? And I was like, what? And what they were trying to say is they were right. But when you get off the plane in Mozambique, South Africa, Kenya, Sudan, there's nothing but us.
Right.
Or as far as you can see. No white guy walking up to you talking about you here, take your bags. No, it's all Sudanese, all Black folks.
Yeah.
And I said to him, I said, you feel uncomfortable, don't you? And they said, yeah, I hope that doesn't offend you. I said, it doesn't offend me. I said, I'm just glad that you now understand how I feel when I come out the house every single day.
Yeah.
I said, so you're getting off a plane one time, and we're going to spend about 2 months here in Sudan. You're going to be around a bunch of Black people who serve you food. They're the waiters, the waitresses, the taxi cab drivers, the store owners. You never seen anything like that before. So it's
you can't go down the street and go to a white restaurant. You can't do that.
I'm telling you, it was lovely because you walk down the street, you look, all the convenience stores owned by Black people. All we go to the malls, all the people in the malls are Black folks. All the law enforcement officers are Black folks. The whole gamut was all Black folks, and they felt uncomfortable. Now, I don't hold that against them because I know how they felt. And I told them, I was like, now you know how I feel, and people who share my reflection feel every day. I walk out the house, and I could drive from my house to work and see maybe 2 Black people.
Exactly.
So you understand how I'm feeling. So if I take that back to the office environment, I agree with what both of you guys said. No, you need to be true to yourself. Now, are there rules and regulations that you need to follow in your office? Absolutely. I'm not advocating that you push that. What I'm saying is that when you go into the office, be yourself, be the person that you are, but do your job and do it well.
Exactly.
If that makes sense.
Yes.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense, man. And I feel this more than I've ever felt it. Besides, I didn't even feel like this when I went to New Mexico. I was at Cannon Air Force Base in New Mexico, and it wasn't that bad there because there's different nationalities out there. There's a lot of Native Americans, a lot of Hispanics, and a lot of Black people in New Mexico. I was surprised. But in this city I'm in right now, Carrollton, Georgia, man, when I first got here, it was, everything was white. Everything. In our school, the major and myself, the junior RTC instructors, we were the only Black teachers or instructors there, besides coaches. Now, all the coaches were Black almost. But as teachers and instructors, we were the only 2 until they hired a math teacher, a Black math teacher. And I was like, man, and every time you had a faculty meeting and they played music, it was always country and Western or pop music or And when we ate, it was some kind of salad, macaroni salad or something like that. You get where I'm coming from. I don't have to keep naming this stuff.
No.
But you know what I'm talking about. So I gotta live with this out here. And as soon as somebody put on a R&B song, everybody look around like, what's going on? Or the one time that they feed the kids soul food is for the Thanksgiving meal. And then, it's not really, they have greens and they have, they try to do a cultural thing. And, but in the last 10 years, the demographics has changed for the kids. So the school now is a majority minority student body now, but they still keeping the teachers white.
Yeah.
So I'm like, you asked me the question, what can you do better at the school? Because they have these questionnaires that every school year, what could we do better? I was like, you got to try to bring people in that these kids can relate to, and they try to wonder why kids have problems at the school. They can't relate to the teachers. They can't, and teachers can't relate to the kids.
Yeah.
And so I found that it hurt the kids, and I have a good relationship with the superintendent because he's Army. He was Army, and he respected the fact that I was a first sergeant. And so him and I talked sometime. He asked me, what do you think, Top? And I was just like, I don't know what y'all got to do, but your faculty got to be more. You got to be more diverse. And I said, because these kids have problems that these teachers can't talk about. They don't understand where these kids came from.
Yeah.
And it ain't their fault that they don't know, but they think to solve a kid's problem that's having a bad day or something like that is to, he'll be all right. You did good. You got a 45 on your test, and this teacher's telling you did good. I was like, no, man, you ain't do good. You got to do better.
But see, sorry to jump before you, Mark, but that's purposeful. What you're saying is that is purposeful. They pump that stuff into your community. They pump that stuff on our televisions. They pump that stuff to the social media stuff because they want to lay the foundation for you to have low standards. Because once you have low standards and you have, they can look at you as though you're less than. Then the real stuff comes. We were talking about this earlier in the green room. That's when calling you animals and starting to treat you like animals becomes acceptable. Like the reason why they can, the reason why slavery lasted in this country for such a long time is because they convinced a lot of the population that Black folks were not less than, that we were slaves, that we didn't have any meaning to our lives. So they could treat us the way that they treat us. And they're doing it now. They're just doing it through our televisions. They're doing it through the way some of our women and our young men are out here acting. They're doing it through the educational system. It's all a plan for them to get back to what it used to be, which is where white men, for the most part, get everything they want in the country. They get all the jobs that are meaningful, and then Black folks are stuck doing things like cleaning people's floors, doing that type of work. Hispanic people doing things like landscaping, physical work. It's all purposeful, and we need to wake up as a community and recognize what's being done to us. But go ahead. I'm sorry.
Go ahead, Mark.
No, I have to, agree with you, and this is stemmed from generations. It's just generational. So a lot of the systemic racism is generational, and so because of how it was in the past, it continues to be that way towards the future. And you're absolutely right. Anytime that they can give an opportunity where they can put you down or make you lower, that's what they want to do. And look at what's going on right now. You can see on TV right now. I don't have to name the person, but you can see what's going on right now. And you can even look at the cabinet that is chosen. So,
Yeah.
and you tell me that there's not enough qualified minorities, in particular Black men, women that can be, chiefs of the cabinets. Come on.
Yeah.
There's
I
a
mean, they had three jigaboos that carried his water during the campaign. Where are they at now?
not none of them are in one of those positions.
Yeah.
They're not going to put them there.
Yeah.
But see, here's it's interesting. I mean, this is what I mean. Let me give you an example of what I mean by pumping this nonsense into our community. Who are the people that they're always throwing in your face when it comes to talking about any issue? If I gotta hear Stephen A. Smith talk about anything other than sports again, I'm gonna jump off the roof.
Yeah.
Right? Stephen A. Smith is pumped into our community all the time as if he's a expert on anything. Athletes, entertainers. Like we have to hear from Ice Cube. We have to hear from Snoop Dogg. We have to hear from, a lot of these struggle rappers out here, some of these women, dressed like hoes, talking about issues in our community, talking about issues in our our thing. And that's to dumb down the populace.
Yeah.
We all remember when we were young, the people who were speaking on behalf of African-American Black men and Black people were educated people, were people with masters, they were doctors, Malcolm X, Martin Luther King, Jesse Jackson. These are all men that have graduate degrees and above.
Yeah.
But now we don't get that. They stifle all the academics and those type of people, and they bring clowns and fools into speak on our behalf.
Yeah.
I mean, here's an example. Just yesterday, Michael Jordan's son gets arrested in Florida for driving on railroad tracks on cocaine. This is a man that never wanted anything that he didn't get. Your father is a billionaire, right? And why should I listen to Michael Jordan if he has anything to say about life? You're rich and your son's a disaster.
Yeah.
Right.
Mind you driving a Lamborghini.
Right.
Exactly.
Where are all of the kids of our superstars and our entertainers and media personalities that are graduating cum laude? Right? What about Ice Cube? Ice Cube got a son. He got him in B movies.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Snoop Dogg's son, he's so worried about him going to college playing football. He's a bum. He went to UCLA, got no time. How come you ain't send him to college to do something? How come you didn't send him to educate himself?
Yeah. There's a lot of examples of that. There are some that got some successful kids, but just today and yesterday, Target and Walmart enlisted the same people that you just got through saying to try to help them with this impending boycott and everything. I was told, and I saw reports where they called Steve Harvey, Snoop Dogg, this one. What's the bald head girl that got on the Trump train early?
We're talking about Amber Rose.
Amber Rose used to go with Kanye West with his stupid ass self. Excuse my expression, Reverend. Sometimes I just get frustrated with this. But they called those people in and say we need to get good PR out here so that we can afford this and everything.
Snoop Dogg sold his soul years ago. I told people when Snoop Dogg was out here running around with Martha Reed that Snoop Dogg he had already bent the knee. He had already done it. I said that. Snoop Dogg, why were the Olympics paying Snoop Dogg $500,000 a day to go over there? Snoop Dogg, of all people, $500,000. He already bent the knee. He did what they told him to do. This is his reward.
And that's what the report said, that Walmart and CEOs and Target CEOs said, how much do you need? How much would it cost for y'all to get those get this good PR out there? And the thing about it is, why couldn't they call what couldn't they call the religious leaders that we have that are well spoken, well educated, know the problem, know what we need? Why couldn't they have called them in there
Because they're going
and
to be
say, we're
real.
going to donate money to your
Mm-hmm.
nonprofit or whatever so you can continue to help the community, not give it to rappers in them so they can get
Right.
bigger cars and bigger houses, you know? So yeah, go ahead, Mark. I'm sorry.
I'm saying because they're going to keep it real. I mean, you get the religious leaders; they're going to keep it real, and then they're going to want you to give something back to the community. So it's so much easier to pay these guys and not get the people who can make a difference.
Yeah, and the other thing that
it doesn't sell when you bring somebody like that in.
Yeah,
as opposed to a rap.
They're buffoons.
Yeah,
they're gonna do whatever they want. I can't remember
it's all marketing. It's marketing.
Yeah,
I can't remember the book I read, but basically they were saying, look, black folks are out of order. We've always been out of order. We just out of order. We're just getting paid to be out of order now. Now they get paid to be clowns.
Yeah.
Now they get paid to be hookers. Now they get paid to be idiots.
just like with the Super Bowl this weekend. So now they're gonna change in the end zone. They took up the signs in the end zone that said "end racism" and stuff. Donald Trump made a call and said, "Hey, I'll be to the game. Can you take that off? Take those things off and do something like Kansas City did that said love is the answer or something to that effect, or other things like." We can do it together. Those are the things they're gonna have in the end zone. Now they're gonna take in racism up, So I said, so Donald Trump is gonna go to the Super Bowl. Mind you, he didn't go to right across the street to DC airport to see be with the families of the people that were killed. He couldn't even go across the street to do that, but he's gonna go to the Super Bowl. And by the way, can you take in racism off the thing? So now I'm looking at this game this weekend as a king come to see his court jesters and stuff. That's what I'm looking at this game now. I don't know. I was talking to my wife. I was conflicted about even watching the game anymore. So I'm going to see what the players say. I'm going to see what the players do. I'm going to see if there's any pushback from anybody. So it's unfortunate, man, that we're picking the wrong spokespeople and the wrong leaders and stuff,
Well, part of the reason why they can get away with what he just did, the reason the NFL can get away with that is because look at the people that the NFL has put into charge when it comes to what they do in the NFL. Jay-Z. They basically gave Jay-Z halftime shows at the Super Bowl. Jay-Z, uneducated, right? Talented, no education, doesn't understand the history of this country. So he don't care. He's just like, hey, I'll get whatever I want. They're gonna pay me $1 billion, $1 billion. I'm gonna raise up my coffers. But there's no one in the NFL that will push back on that.
No.
Okay, we can't talk about love solves everything. For what? Well, the love had nothing to do with 200 years of slavery in this country. Love had nothing to do with all those lashes on our people's back. Love had nothing to do with 100 years of Jim Crow in the United States after slavery. Wasn't nobody talking about love at that point. Everybody was talking about, we want to keep black people down where they are. You ever notice with DEI, you guys ever notice that they never talk about DEI when it comes to things like 98% of the CEOs in the United States are white men?
Yeah, that used to be a conversation. It's gone away.
But it's only DEI when it's positions that they think we're not qualified for or that we shouldn't be in. That's the only time they talk about DEI. Nobody says anything about the NFL being 75% black. How come you don't ever hear Trump say anything about, well, why? There's a bunch of DEI in the NFL. You don't hear, because that's what they want you to do. They think you're only good enough to be an entertainer or athlete or a movie star.
Right. You had something to say, Mark?
No, I just agree with you. It's just Let's speak off for a second.
Yeah.
Don't let it get you down, man.
The DEI situation is really just it's sad. It's sad, and like you said, the spokespeople that we have that's represented us is what's in it for me.
Yeah, exactly.
What's in it for me, not for the people. What's in it for me?
At least little Soldier Boy kept it real. They asked him why did he do Donald Trump's ball. He said they paid me money, and he ended the conversation like that. So go ahead. I'm sorry. I just
no. I agree.
Yeah. This the one down below. I know all of us. We talked about that in our intro and how we made it through our different organizations. You constantly trying to prove yourself. You find yourself. I got to a point. I'm gonna tell you. I got to a point where I stopped trying to prove myself. I just let my work do the talking and stuff. You know. So that's mine on that.
Well, I mean, I'll just say really short. I will say I never really had to do that because I never let someone put that type of pressure on me.
Yeah.
You know, my skill set, you know, my education, my experience was far better than anybody I think that was in my position. So I never let them put that type of pressure on me. I always went in thinking that I was the best, whether I was or not. I always felt that I was the best. And I even do that today. I mean, I think Mark and I were talking about it. We went to dinner a couple weeks ago. When I do interviews now, I've been in my job for 18 years and I'm damn good at it. But I do interviews because I need to ensure that I'm still marketable. And I can walk into an office and interview and have 5-6 people across from me, and I can convince them that I'm the best person.
Right.
So I do interviews just to do them, to ensure that I'm still marketable, I'm still good at what I do. So I haven't had to experience that, or maybe I didn't recognize it when I was younger. But in my adult life, my senior level position, I don't feel I've had to do that.
I would say I was opposite. I had to build a confidence because I didn't have any, Black role model in terms of father figure that really, showed me the ropes. Like, you, Solomon, you had a good dad that kind of showed you the ropes. So I had to kind of learn on my own. Yeah. And, I'm a lot different now in terms of when it comes to my boys, my sons, but it was something that, I put pressure on myself, and I had to realize that I had to stop putting the pressure on myself, and that I had to believe in myself that I'm just as good as, the other person. And I had to believe in myself. And I said that I am. I said, I have experience. I've been around. I have the right attitude. And I said, maybe I might not get it on the first try. I may not get it on the second try, but my perseverance, on the third try, I got it. So I had to believe in myself, and I had to take some pressure off myself, because when you put so much pressure on yourself, it really affects you overall.
Yep.
Your mental status, everything.
Stressful.
Yes. So
I
had to learn to, believe in myself. And I got to, I got, close to the point where you at, Solomon, but it took a minute to get there.
No, I understand. I mean, I feel as though, I hate saying that. I think that my father was, he had 7th grade education, but he retired from the military, and he, he worked for the state of Ohio for 20-some years in a senior level position. He did a very good job, but he stressed to us that, you need to have confidence in yourself. When you speak to people, you need to know what you're talking about. Study, make sure you're prepared when you go in and do things. That's the way he talked to us, and that's the way he made my brothers and I, to be able to get over the hump sometimes when somebody puts a roadblock in front of you, to be able to navigate around that. So I give my father, all the credit in the world. And my mother too, because I mean, I got she just passed away when I was really young. But my father did. The one thing I'll say this, and I'll let you go, Tony or Mark, is that when my mother passed, I was 5. I'm the youngest, but my sister was 14. I think my brother was 12, and my other brother was maybe 9 or something like that. But I was 5. And the state of Ohio came in, and they were like, "Oh, well, CPS." and we're going to come in and take the kids away, and we're going to put them in foster homes. And my father said, no, the hell you are. He said, that's not happening. He said, these are my kids. I'm going to raise my kids the way I want to raise them. I don't need the state of Ohio. I don't need CPS. I don't need you guys putting my kids in some foster home. They wanted to split us up. They wanted to take my sister and my brother, my older brother, put them together, and then put me and my other brother together. My father said, the hell with that. He said, it's not happening. That was the first time I saw, once I found out what he had done, it showed me what he was trying to teach us. So go ahead.
Yeah. It's like I said, it goes back as far as I put pressure on myself, especially when it went back to when we were forced to integrate. When the teacher said that, it sparked something in me that stayed in me for my whole life. And I said, keep underestimating me. That was my thing. Keep underestimating me. And we took back then you had to take these standardized IQ tests and stuff.
Yep.
And I had the second highest score in the whole school. And they were like, really? And so from then on, I said, just keep underestimating me. I can do this. I can be a quiet assassin. That's what I used to consider myself, a quiet assassin. And as I got older, I started saying, give me the interview. The job is mine.
Mm-hmm.
And it's been like that all my life. If I got an interview, the job was mine. I never failed in the interview. And that's how I got into Thunderbirds.
Yep.
Which is supposed to be the top thing in the United States Air Force. The attention to detail it took. That's how I got work for the Secretary of the Air Force, because they could see the quiet confidence in me, and they could see my record, and I could tell them, you ain't gonna find a better person than me. You just ain't. You can keep trying, you just not gonna find it, And I didn't go out shouting that. I didn't show off or none of that. But when you got me behind those closed doors and it was me and you or me and 5 or 6 people that got to make the decision, it was an easy decision for them because I had that teacher in junior high put that fire in me, keep underestimating me, And so I kind of passed it on to my kids. I said, when you go into wherever you're doing, when people talk to you, you look them in the eye, you give them a firm handshake. Don't turn away. Don't look the other way. Look them straight in the eye. Let them know that you're here and you got to deal with me. And that's it, So, yeah, that's how it wasn't proving myself. I would say it wasn't pressure. I'll put it this way. It was proving myself, but it wasn't pressure. It was just a thing that that I learned early, and when I got to the HBCU, they just reinforced how I was feeling and stuff. When they kept telling me you're good and you can be better than them, you just got to do the work. So it early on reinforcement, and then actually doing it, and that's how that's the way I succeeded, I believe. So. Okay, so we
hold on a second, Mark. Did you want to throw anything?
Yeah, just one last thing I want to add, and it came from a movie. Actually, it came from a House Party, Kid and Play movie, and it's a quote that I still use today. And I never thought I would get it from a movie like that, but the quote was from Marcus Garvey, and it says that without confidence, you are twice defeated in the race of life. With confidence, you have won even before you have started.
Yep, that's it. That's it. That's what I always tell people, man. That's in a certain way. And that's a good quote, man. Thanks for giving that to us. We've covered most of the stuff we want to cover today.
Can I just close out real quick, Tony, before we get going?
No, we're getting ready to give it to you. Whatever else you want to cover.
Yeah, I just wanted to say that we need to. Black folks need to stop this. I got not that this is a problem with the question, but that we have to prove ourselves. We don't have to prove ourselves. We don't have to prove anything to anybody.
Right.
Black folks are the most instrumental people in the development of this country here today. Most of the people that come to this country, all these minorities and these people who come to the United States, have come here on the back of African Americans. The Civil Rights Act passed in the 60s allowed for more minorities to come to this country. Most folks don't realize that in the 60s, the United States did not want people from certain countries coming here. In the Civil Rights Act, Black folks said, you know what, that's not right. If there's somebody that wants to come here, it doesn't matter what their color is, they should be able to come here. That's in the Civil Rights Act, in the 1964-65 Civil Rights Act. So a lot of the Indians that are here, a lot of the Spanish folks are here, a lot of the Africans that are here, a lot of the Italians and, those people who this country used to look down on are here because of Black folks. So we don't owe anybody a damn thing.
And I think a lot of people say they got to prove it and they feel they have to prove it. But if they start thinking like Mark said, that if you already got the confidence, you won't think it's proven. It's just showing. It's not proven. You're just showing then. So I think the verbiage is there. And we just got to show everybody what we got. Don't be afraid to show people that you're excellent.
Yep.
Don't be afraid. A lot of people don't want to show that they're excellent.
Say it. I say it all the time. I'm like, no, I'm better than you.
Yeah.
You don't have to believe it, but it's a fact. I'm better than you.
Yeah, exactly.
So,
that's it.
cool.
That's it. Anything y'all want to add? Political, whatever. Super Bowl. Let's get it on tape right now. Who you picking, Suleiman? Philly, by how many?
10.
10?
Yeah.
Mark?
I think I'm going to have to go with Kansas City. They just find a way to win.
How many?
7.
I'm going with Kansas City by 3.
Okay.
I'm sorry. Until they show me something different, I can't go against them, Sula.
Yeah.
I want Philly to win, but I think Kansas is going to take it, man.
I think Philly's more talented.
I know Philly is more talented. They are.
Kansas City just find a way.
Yeah, I know they're more talented, but it's one of those things that we just got through talking about. Do they have the confidence that they can get over that line, though? Yeah, Kansas City has the confidence that they're gonna win. Oh, yeah. Until they lose, they got the confidence that they're gonna win. It should be exciting.
We'll see.
I think y'all better invest in Gaza as soon as possible.
It's just amazing, man. I mean,
I'm sorry, too soon.
No, I mean, it's like I said, we talked about in the green room. It's amazing to me, man, how people are willing to just sit back and to watch stuff like this.
Ignorance.
And have nothing to say. I mean,
ignorance.
We're
gonna talk about us, but you see this,
Right. You see, this is what Black folks have been telling people for years. Black folks have been telling these people in the United States that this is what's going to happen when they start to see their, their control going away. That they're going to start implementing policies that are ridiculous. And then the business class is going to fall right in line, which is what we see. Yeah. All these major companies are dumping their DEI programs because Trump and the White House has told them to do it.
Yeah, they're doing what they always do, colonizing. That's why I call them colonizing. Yep. So they're trying to colonize Gaza now. Think about it. They're telling 2 million people, you got to go to some other country. We don't care what country. You just
no. He didn't say they're gonna go to somewhere. He said move them. Yeah. He said we're gonna move them. He said basically they're gonna pick them up and drop them off in somebody else's country.
Yeah, pick them from their own homeland. That's a form of slavery.
You can't make it up. Just like they came to America, they discovered America, and I'm still. I think I'm. I forget what you call it when you just
Columbus Day away.
Okay, I discovered America, but people are already there. You know, I discovered this land, but people are already there. And by the way, y'all gonna have to move. We're gonna get reservations where y'all can stay. We're gonna take all the coastal land, and we're gonna send you in the dry, barren center of the country.
Yeah.
And that's what they do in the Gaza. So they continue to do what they do. They're colonizers, and that's why we call them colonizers.
And you know what you didn't hear? You didn't hear a bunch of countries saying, "Oh, that's ridiculous. We can't allow that to happen." You didn't hear that. You didn't hear France president come out. You didn't hear England's president.
He finally did. France president finally came out this evening.
And he did. Okay.
Saudi Arabia and Egypt, they've chimed in. It ain't what they say though, but do they have the willpower to stand up to it? And that's all it is. Because we're not gonna do anything. We're just not. If France stand up, if Saudi Arabia, Egypt stand up, and Jordan, if those countries stand up and say no, we're not gonna have it, we're not gonna do anything. American people don't want to see our troops going to fight an unnecessary war because Donald Trump wanted another resort. He can put a Trump hotel at, you know?
Yeah.
Crazy.
Oh, no, it's not going to happen. Good job, man. Good job. Give them our particulars tonight, Suleiman. Go again. Tell them.
Yeah. So, as usual, everybody, you know, we're on social media. We're on X, you can get our full episodes on YouTube. See the full episode. In a couple of days, you'll see it up on our social media platforms. Thanks for watching, everybody. We look forward to next week.
And as usual,
do it now, or I'll hunt you down.
Do it.
Do it now. You get hunted down. Okay. See y'all later.
All right. Stay on, everybody.